Yeah, what? So we with the band with the site we run, we got the Hair Band Heaven, and you definitely kind of fall into it with all the bands you've been in, and it's right up our alley. So, what do we want to talk about tonight?
What's Warren got lined up for next year?
Question number one. What is? Well, a bunch of shows just like always. Continuing to support this year's Louder, Harder, Faster release, and we've kind of followed that trend of bands of our ilk, and we're just going and doing fly dates instead of getting in a bus, and it's a much more easy way to travel for guys that are not in their 20s. It's cool to travel around in a van and sell merch for beer and gas money when you're younger, but thankfully the band's done well enough through the years that we can still go out and play, do the thing that we love, but we get on mostly commercial airplanes and land in your city and get picked up and drive around, and whether it's a shed or a fair or a casino or a theater or whatever, that's what we're 99% doing these days, and we plan to do much more of the same in 2018.
Cool. You guys, as much as you guys play out, is there any chance you guys putting out a live album?
I don't know. We talk about it from time to time, and there have been a couple of offers. It's not something I'm against doing. I'm not afraid of it at all. I kind of like the way we sound live. It's definitely different. We don't really, we're not the kind of band to add a bunch of tracking, and when you record, you might do an extra rhythm guitar here or there. You do an extra few double solos. So things that are really, truly live with five guys doing only what five guys can do is going to sound different than your average garden variety record that gets released these days, because they're produced and like a guy wants to get in there with Pro Tools and fix a bunch of stuff. And I thankfully, actually, if you don't mind me talking about that, the fact that we did our record with Jeff Pilson and Jeff and I are friends, we both had that philosophy that we wanted to do as little of that as possible. Now, people in the business know that can happen to a huge degree. I mean, I could sing Mary Had a Little Lamb off key, and somebody with a computer can make me sound like Luciano Pavarotti.
Right.
Or anybody else damn near, so I kind of wanted to leave it up to us to, do good performances, and if there's a vocal or a guitar part where you're just hanging on the edge, and it really just, it's one of those emotion-filled, gut-wrenching kind of things where it feels like you're really hanging out on a limb, and you survive hanging out on a limb. You create a moment on a recorded whatever, hard drive, whatever you want, whatever your recording medium, that sounds like that happened, and some of my favorite records had those happy accidents or real just things that make you feel, or made me feel, so much hair on my arms, as a kid, hair on the back of your neck kind of thing. And it was what was truly thrilling about being a kid listening to records and in my young life. And then, you get to make a bunch, and you realize that those moments are just little seconds in time that you might never get back. You listen to all those records that were made before Pro Tools, you listen to how many singers, they would have never left those mistakes in.
Oh, absolutely not.
Somebody would have been there with a mouse fixing all that shit. It just would have been like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, the perfection's what makes them great.
What are you doing?
If it's too clean, it's just not right.
Well, there's a place for that. I'm not done.
Pop radio.
It just wasn't what we wanted to do. And early on, I had that idea that I kind of wanted this record to be kind of like that magic 78, 79 like philosophy, where killer records were made, and it was before all that, and you just had to get it right, or got it wrong, you left it on there anyway, and it became part of what people recognize and remember. And granted, there were fixes, and granted, it's all in digital now, but we used a bunch of cool old gear, old amps, old guitars, a bunch of stuff that just, recording gear that just gave it that feeling of reality to me, at least in the recording process. They can do whatever the hell they want after the fact with it, and, people are going to squash it down to listen to on their, you know, an MP3 on their iPhones, and that's totally okay. I'm not bitter about the way technology has advanced things and how simple it is and accessible it is now. That's a wonderful thing, actually. But you listen to our vinyl that was mixed for that reason, and those songs have a different feel to me. I don't know.
Speaking of that, is there any chance you guys ever gonna release Rockaholic on vinyl?
We've spoken about it. It's in the works. I don't know whether it's actually going to come to fruition or not, but it's been something we'd like to do. I mean, we can always just go ahead and do it.
Right.
I'm sure, you know, the hardcore fans of the band.
Well, I'm holding a copy of Louder, Harder, Faster on vinyl in my hand as we speak, so we both got a copy of that. Fantastic album.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you. I'm pretty fond of my copy on red vinyl as well.
Yes, it's very, very nice.
You talked about working with Jeff Pilson. Can you tell us a little bit about the new band, Superstroke?
Oh, you mean the working title of George's song? That
Yeah.
de facto became a band name? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not just half kidding about that. You know, all the cool band names are taken. It's just a kind of logical thing. Frontiers approach us, and there are two historical pieces of significance in that we never really did a third Lynch Mob record at the time, but upon Anthony Esposito's departing the band, and we wanted to kind of be, I don't know, there was a thought of having Jeff come in, and at the time, it didn't fall out that way. And I won't go into a lot of details. It just didn't end up happening. So in one way, it's kind of like closure. It's like that third Lynch Mob record that we never got to do, or we're a little older and wiser, or at least older. And, you know, so you get, it's three-quarters of Lynch Mob and three-quarters of Dawkins. So you get both those elements put together, and obviously there's, you know, DNA in common if you think about it in the way, musical DNA. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us. Well, it was about a half-brainer. We sat with it for a little while, all kind of deciding whether or not we really should do it, and then I heard a few demos that George was doing, and I was like, okay, this is a smart idea. We should probably do this. And it kind of gives us, we still all like each other. You know, Mick and I live in the same town. I see him out pretty regularly. I see him in a lot of airports, too. You know, we play gigs with Doc, and we played with Ted Nugent. So it's not like the three of us have ever really been that far apart, it seems. And I've known Jeff since maybe late 91, early 92, when he came in, when we were recording the Lynch Mob record, just to drop in and say hi. So Jeff and I get on really well. We use him for the Louder Harder record as in the production seat. And he's just such a great musical mind. He's a smart guy. He's a funny guy. He's got a great sense of humor. And he's just, you know, one of us.
Right.
So now he is one of us. and I'm one of them. You know what I mean? So to speak. So
cool.
It may satisfy both camps. It might piss everybody off. Either way, we'll see what happens.
Should be great. Last year you did some vocals for Avantasia. How'd that come about?
Oh, Its Bias is awesome.
Yeah, those are great.
Oh, thank you. You know, I was a fan, and a couple of friends of mine, Eric Singer had done some stuff with him, Alice Cooper had worked with him, a few other people, and I guess he was trying to fill singer slots, and my name got thrown around. All of a sudden, I got an email from him, and it was my privilege. Stuff sounds great. He sent me a big multi-CD copy with a big monstrous book. Either of you have that as well?
I have it on vinyl.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I need it on vinyl now that I just went and picked up a new turntable. See, I'm going to have to find out if I can grab one of those.
Yeah, I think it was I don't know if they did a re-release, but they put out on that black vinyl from Nuclear Blast.
Yeah.
So they do a good job with their stuff.
Well, gives me something else to ask Santa for, I suppose.
There you go. What were your thoughts on working with Rat?
At the time, it was one of those times, anybody who knows anything about that band, they're lovable dysfunctional, honestly. And I honestly hate to overuse that word, but I truly do like those guys. Each and every one of them, and get on with them in different ways. And it was just one of those periods of time where they weren't getting along, and Steven had kind of failed or whatever. Depends on who you ask, I suppose. And they came to me and said, "Hey, do you want to do this, this, and this?" And I jammed with them a few times, and we thought about it. But honestly, I will stand by this. And if anybody's, telling the truth, speaking the truth, I was hesitant through the entire thing. And because I had something else going on at the time, and I was kind of taking not a break from the business, but I was just taking a step back and a breather after having been in, going from the Lynch Mob thing to doing a ton of sessions in 93, 94, 95, right into the Ozzy thing, and then out of it. And then I took a little bit of a break, and then that got kind of dropped in my lap one day at the NAMM show, or right around that time. I guess it would have been January of 99, maybe? I don't know. Is that about when it happened? And I was trying to get something else going band-wise at the time, so I was really torn. I sat with them and honestly said, "Man, Steven should be the singer in your band, and I should not." And that's just the way it goes. And I walked away, and to be quite honest, they didn't talk to me for a few years. So everything's all fun now. We're all friends. But at the time, I understand their position, but I get along with Steven as well. I don't know. Maybe I get along with Steven because I turned down that gig. I don't know.
That's possible. Speaking of the Ozzy thing, how did that come about that you got to sing with Ozzy?
Sharon called my house one day.
Nice person to have call in your house.
Well, we had worked with some of the same people, producers, engineers in the business, and, Sharon was, unbeknownst to me, looking for a live background vocal guy to go out and accompany Oz on tour and do all those harmonies that he sings on the records. At Ozzy's request. He didn't want to use samples or, at the time it would have been a keyboard player firing off samples or some other sort of thing, pre-recorded thing. I gotta remember this is 95. So Sharon put the word out, and my name came up, I guess, 2 out of 3 or 3 out of the 4 times in a row, so she got my number and called me up.
Cool.
And said, he wants you to come out. Will you come out? We want you to come out as long as you can. We're going on a world tour. It's going to take a year. And it was autumn of 95, and I said, okay, sure. I gave it about a minute to think about it and said, sure.
And that led right into Cry of Love?
Yeah, I actually left the Oz tour a little early to at Columbia Records' request. Thankfully, Ozzy's on, Sony BMG, Columbia, it's all the same family, so I went to Sharon and Oz and said, "Hey, I really, really want to be a frontman again. I know there might be a little bit of crossover here calendar-wise. They really want me to leave. How much time do you want me to give you?" And they were very nice about it. Sharon understood. Ozzy was a little, I remember him being a little, kicking rocks head down in the dumps about it. He's like, "Don't leave," but honestly, we sat and talked about it, and I think I ended up giving him a couple of months. Honestly, before my last show was Donington in August of 96.
That's a good last show.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yes, with Kiss. Yeah, kind of a cool show.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah, that's a way to go out.
It'd be hard to top that.
Do you have
Coming
a...
out of a helicopter like Queen, that would have topped it.
Yeah. Do you have a dream venue that you haven't got to play yet?
Sounds really weird, but Madison Square Garden, it doesn't sound weird, but I was born and raised in New York. and the New York metro area. So I was born in the Bronx. So I saw Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus at, I think, 2, 3, and 4 years old in Madison Square Garden. Kiss, Madison Square Garden. Aerosmith, Madison Square Garden. So it's one of the only venues that I really, really would love to play that I never have.
Huh.
And, who knows? But I doubt I will.
you never know. I heard this. I don't know if this is true. Did you take vocal lessons from Gloria Davis?
I did.
Yeah, I'd read somewhere that did she do all the guys in Magnum, like give them vocal lessons?
I believe so. I think one of the guys, either one of those guys or somebody else, turned me on to Gloria. Yeah. We all loved her. She was the first person who wasn't a stuffed shirt opera teacher that didn't want to change me, because I wanted to learn the right way, and I wanted to understand that the way an opera singer understands it, human voice, and not being able to do whatever you want and not blowing your throat up.
Right.
But still, I was a rock kid. I wanted to be Steve Marriott meets Janis Joplin meets Stevie Wonder meets, Roger Daltrey meets blah, 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 Paul Rogers. So Gloria was the first traditional opera method teacher I had that didn't try to fight me every time I wanted to, do something that wasn't pure opera. And she had worn the shoes. She had sung opera. She had done the New York City Jazz Club. She had been on, overseas with the USO, and she had pretty much done it all and seen it all, and was a total ball-buster wise ass, and I loved her to death. So
that's great.
And I was kind of her little brat for a few years there. Back east.
Yeah, so the Jersey scene, you guys, did you all like run in the same circles like Zakk Wylde and Skid Row and all those guys?
Yeah, knew Zakk, but not until right before he got in Ozzy. I remember the Zyrus days.
Yeah.
And the Skids and all those guys, they were all kind of around. The Bon Jovi guys, the Skids guys, they were like although the Skid Row guys were right around my age, they were kind of our older brothers,
Was there talk of you joining Skid Row before Sebastian Bach?
Not that I knew of. I
No.
might have been one of the guys where they go, oh, that guy's out in the scene, he's playing around. But never auditioned for that band. But, unbeknownst to me, that would have been fun.
Yeah, that'd been great.
That would have been a good fit.
But, at the time, right there in that moment, those 5 guys were the right 5 guys.
Yeah, it was perfect timing.
Yeah.
It really was.
They went through singer and drummer changes. I remember hearing the murmurs of they were looking for a guy, and maybe I was just too wrapped up in what I was doing. Then all of a sudden I knew that Sebastian had, come to town and got that gig, and they were doing like showcases around, and the rumor about them, at the time the rumor about them having the Bon Jovi Association because of Snake and getting their big record deal and all that stuff. I remember all those.
Right. Snake was in.
Murmurs.
Yeah, Snake was in Bon Jovi for a while, right? Before Richie?
Very, very early on, yeah, and that's where that association came from.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Snake and David and Scotty and a couple of people, like the only people that call me Bob or Bobby, because I was I know them. God, I have no idea how long I know them.
Few years.
Yeah.
What are some of your thoughts just on going out every night and singing some of the original Warrant tunes?
Well, I was a fan, and Lynch Mob supported Warrant in arenas, so it's partially, obviously, it's my job, and I like the songs. Janie was a great songwriter, and man, was he a front man. He really sang well. Live he sang well. He was one of those people that made you want to watch him and listen to him, and I never try to copy that, but the songs are the songs. They deserve to be sung, the melodies, the way they were intended. I do my damnedest. I do the best job I can, sounding like me.
Oh, we definitely enjoy the way you do it. We've
Honestly, it's a privilege, man. Honestly, it is. And I don't... It sounds kind of cheesy, I guess, to some people, but I genuinely mean that. It's... I never look at that in any other way other than I'm allowing those songs to keep being played. You get the hardcore fan of any band that's unaccepting any member change. Well, they can do that. That's their right and prerogative. I embrace rather the fans that are willing to come out and hear the songs and want to relive, the nostalgia if they feel that, or whatever they have for it, just to come out and see a high energy rock band, and that's what I want to do. So, like I said, thankful I get to do it.
Well, we've seen you a couple times now as the front man of Warrant, and it's been great both times. I mean, it's fantastic. You do a great job with it. Now,
Thank you.
were you friends with Janie other than just jumping in here, or because I know there's pictures obviously with the two of you together out on the internet. You can find them easy, but did you know him well? I guess.
Do you have any naked pictures of Janie?
I don't. Not that I know of. I'm sure you could probably find him if you looked hard enough.
Would you like to buy some?
No thanks.
No, I'm just kidding. They're not for sale.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I met Janie in the bar scene in Hollywood in '91 when I was brand new in Lynch Mob and we were getting ready doing pre-production to record. And instantly our love of similar styles of music and a little bit of tequila now and then became, the stuff that people talk about a little, I suppose. And, we had a lot of fun. We had a bunch of good times, and our friendship was a component of why, when our Lynch Mob record came out, actually before our Lynch Mob record came out, that was pretty much a done deal,
Did you ever get the chance to work with?
As direct support, so that was pretty much a known thing. I missed that question. What was that? I'm sorry.
That's all right. Did you ever get the chance to really work with him, though? I mean, other than obviously working with him on stage.
No, just
Hanging out, drinking.
A couple times and hanging out and socializing.
That's cool, though.
Having fun after shows.
That's still cool.
Well, like I said, I had a lot of respect for him, and we were friends, and, I don't need to dwell on the dark stuff, but I will say that, yeah, there's history there, and yes, there are photos to prove it.
Is there any chance you work with Dave again in Big Cock?
I don't know. David and I are friends. We talk a little, text a little. That thing is a period in time. I have friends with, still with all those guys. With David and John. So
I'm not touching that.
it's just a thing where we've all headed in different directions. Dave's a really musical, really smart guy. He'll always do something musical. It was just the right, certain things happen for only a few years in the right little bubble or time period, or, it's like a lightning strike.
Right.
When it's good and fun, it's good. And it was fun. It was both of those things.
Yeah, you guys put out some good albums there.
Well, I
Indeed.
appreciate it. It was fun. It had its place, and it was a certain thing. It wasn't something that I necessarily thought would have such wide appeal for obvious reasons, but it was really cool and fun for us to do. And it was kind of like the inside joke that we love telling. And if anybody else, gets the joke and enjoys it, well, then there you go. If you understand, that way of maybe explaining it.
Yeah.
I have people come straight up to me and say, "You're never going to get the song on the radio with a band name like that." Like people in the business. And I would just look at them and scratch my head. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Hey, it is what it is,
Really?
but it don't need to be played on the radio to be good.
But I mean, but it did get played on radio. Like, do you seriously think? What's really funny is I think somebody. All right, I'm already swearing, so I should probably just keep going.
Have at it.
Dave recently got an email. David got an email, and it was like the form letter. It was so formal, but I think it was a publishing company or somebody, somebody trying to pitch a song for either movie placements or something. A couple of BC songs ended up in a couple of films, background music like a song does in a movie. And that's great. We love that. And it pays well too. It's just, great. It's like, something I spent an hour or two on years and years ago, all of a sudden they write me a check for it. That's awesome. So I guess he read me an email and they're laughing like I'll get out about it. But there's a song on the first record called Bad Motherfucker, and they're like, out of all the BC songs in the world that don't have any swearing in them, this person, and it was this woman, wrote an email to Dave, and it was very formal. It was like, we really do enjoy your song, Bad Motherfucker.
That's
That's
funny.
even the best part of it. It was like, we're wondering if you would have any objection to changing the words motherfucker to something that would allow it to be a little bit more accessible to more artists in our catalog, or like in more of our clients on our database. You know, and we fell out laughing, and then we thought, well, wait a minute. Money's money. It's our song. And I don't remember whether I made it Bad Mother Lover or something. But the session itself, where we went in with some of the original recordings and overdubbed me singing the new words, and I had to, get continuity, so I had to sing them. It was so much fun. I was crying behind the microphone, laughing so hard. Because we did change it, and I think he submitted it, and they said that we love the new version of, obviously it's the title of the song, so they had to change it. I thought it was just such a funny music business moment, like that eternal battle between art and commerce.
That is funny.
Where it's like, if I was Bob Dylan, and I really thought such a lofty lyrics such as Bad Motherfucker was, something that should stand the test of time. He'd be like, fuck no, I'm not going to change that. I don't care how much money you pay. You're like, wait, how much money? We could, I got an hour. I think we can probably re-record that.
That's great. That is good.
So coming to Frozen 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. That'd be a nice segue for the children.
Yeah.
Get them hooked on your voice, and then they can hear the real version when they get a little bit older.
Just about a guy who's fond of his mom. That's all. Nothing.
That's great. We won't keep you too much longer, though. Robert, I got one last question. Maybe the most important question of all.
5 foot 8 3/4. No, what?
Sammy or Dave?
Oh, man.
At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to all the time.
I've hung out with both of them, and that's a huge privilege. Sam and I have done a couple of benefit and charity shows together, and have been on the same stage, actually. And I know Michael Anthony really well, and I've met Eddie a couple of times, and I hung out with Dave at Henson Recorders. That was the old, it was at Sunset, it's at Sunset in La Brea. It was the old Charlie Chaplin and studio, and it was A&M Studios, and now it's Henson. I sat in one of the lounges and talked with Dave, and just a couple of white guys sitting having tea, talking during a break in a recording studio, and he's so smart, and Sammy's incredibly talented. Rich as all get out because he's so successful. He's a car guy. I've got every reason to like Sammy Hagar in the world, and I do. And I still have to say Dave.
I agree.
See, I disagree.
Like in 1978, driving to lacrosse practice in the back of my buddy Dean's 1971 and a half Baldwin Motion Camaro. This is how stunning that memory is to me. Sitting, riding bitch in the back seat because I was only a freshman in high school, riding to lacrosse practice, like getting ready to go play high school lacrosse, and put an 8-track and push that 8-track in, and such unbelievable life-changing moment began Van Halen for me and blew my mind. So there you go.
All right. Thanks, Robert. We'll catch up with you again another time.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for the time. It's really cool. Let me know when this thing airs or does whatever it's going to do. Send me a link or something.
Yeah, we'll be sure to do that.
Yeah, we'll do. I'll send it out. I'll email it out to you as soon as we get it up.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Robert.